Hello, this is Irina from lalalandcrafts. I'm here today with a tutorial, a step-by-step tutorial on how to make this sympathy card. I have all of my layers cut already. I'll go through all of the description of all of the products that I'm using. It's a pretty big card. It measures 8 3/4 by 4.5 inches, and I decided to stay with white and gray and carry over all of the elements in the same color combination, with just a little bit of the touch of color with the green branches right here. I'm going to start by getting all of the elements ready for us to assemble the card first. As you can see, I have some patterns paper here, which are actually not patterns paper per se. There are white cardstock and stamped with some of our background stamp sets. One of them is the newer one. It's called You Inspire Me, and it has a really pretty marble looking background, and it also comes with the sentiments that you can mix and match. This is how it comes on plastic already. This is how all of our background stamps come. I cut mine apart, so I cut the plastic apart right here, then I can use my background stamp and coordinating stamps separate. I'm using Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink, and I'm going to ink my background stamp just by tapping the ink pad into it. This is on the right side of the card right here, so this is a longer layer. I'm going to put it down, cover it with the regular printer, some scrap paper, and I'm going to rub into it with my hands. And I'm using palm of my hand instead of just the fingertips, because it gives me more leverage here and it goes by faster. So when I remove it, I have this really pretty background. Then on the other side, I'm going to use the different background stamp, and this one has kind of like inverted polka dots with the texture, and it's called Hello Lovely. So the set comes with the little birdies and the sentiment. I have mine cut already, as you can see. The plastic is cut, so I'm only using the background part. And this stamp has little lines kind of in the texture, and I like my lines on this card to go horizontally. So these lines right here, this is what I'm referring to. So I'm going to put my paper this way, like that, cover it, and rub into it. Has a really neat effect. Now the next thing, I'm going to stamp my sentiment right here that says with heartfelt, and I'm using one of our newer layer stamp sets, and this one is called Filler Words, and it's in cursive. The reason it's called Filler Words because it has just different words that you can mix and match with different word dies or word stamps. I'm using With and Heartfelt from this set. So then we can create our With Heartfelt Sympathy sentiment. I'll put the links to all of the products that I'm using in the video description, and as well as all of the measurements. I'm going to stamp heartfelt, the word heartfelt first. I'm stamping it on this just piece of cardstock, white cardstock that I cut. I'm just stamping it on the piece of the cardstock, and then we're going to die cut in the oval. Now I'm going to add word width. And the reason I'm doing them separate instead of lining them up onto the block all together is because I want them fairly close right here, and the photopolymer that goes around the word is not allowing me to get that close. So that's the reason it's good to have them actually separate, because you can mix and match to what your project needs. So the way I'm stamping it, and since I have my sample here, I already have it figured out, the top of the T goes in between of the legs of the H right here. So then it fits everything onto the oval. So now I have that stamped. I'm going to use the smaller oval from our double stitched ovals set. There's actually one that's even smaller, so this is the third smaller one. And I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine and cut it out. So I have my plates here. I'm putting my layer onto the plate, and then I'm just going to line up my oval. I trust this enough not to hold it with any tape or anything like that, and just run it through my die cutting machine. Really pretty. Now the other thing I'm going to do, since I have my die cutting machine right here right now ready, I'm going to grab the tag that I already die cut, and this is from our large stitch tags. This is the second size down, and I'm going to use larger oval, and I'm going to die cut an opening inside in the middle of my tag. And again, I'm not using the tape. All of my plates are just staying on my Cuttlebug, and I'm just covering this here. If you're not sure, if you think that it might move, it's always a good idea to use the tape and tape it down. So now I have my tag. I got stuck a little bit. I have the tag with the opening, and I have an oval. So this oval is double stitched, so you can see that it has the cut line, the solid line right here, and then two stitched lines on each side. So when you die cut it, on the outside you still have the stitch detail, which is really pretty, and we're using it in this design. And then you have your other oval, the oval that was die cut from the inside, and it also has the stitching. Now on this oval that we just cut out, we're going to use it in the center of the card with another sentiment. So this sentiment, these words, are from the Sympathy clear stamp set, and the way we designed them, that the words can be mixed and matched. We have at this difficult time sentiment that can be added to the other one. So I'm going to use, I used May Your Heart Find Comfort at this difficult time on the sample card. I'm going to use Sharing in Your Sorrow on this card right here and add At This Difficult Time to it as well. I'm going to use the same oxide ink for stamping. Sharing in Your Sorrow first. And I'm going to add At This Difficult Time. The beauty about clear stamps is that you can line up and see what you're working on. Here it is. Now the last element that we need to make before we start assembling the card is our angel. And the angel is from the same clear stamp set, from the stamp set called Sympathy. And I have her right here. I'm gonna put her onto the larger acrylic block. And she's like a sorrow angel. Her head is facing down. Very pretty. So now I have a plain piece of the white cardstock, and I'm not sure if you can see it. You can see it. I can see that on the screen. You should be able to see. It has a little bit of the shine to it. So I wanted the angel to stand out on the card, even though I wanted to use all of the same colors, just stay with the gray and white. And I wanted to heat emboss this image, but I couldn't find the embossing powder that would go with the color of the ink that I was using. It was either too dark or too light, or it has different tone to it. So the way I did it, or the way I'm going to do it right now to show you, I'm going to use Versamark ink pad first, and I'm going to add it to my stamp. Just ink it really well, and then on top of it I'm going to use the same Hickory Smoke oxide ink. And what it does, it will make my oxide ink sticky with the Versamark under it, and I'll be able to use embossing powder. I have my little embossing body. Here you go. So this is good to use so the powder doesn't stick to any of the other areas. It's called embossing body. And now I'm ready to stamp my angel. I'm just leaving it down for a minute, well, a few seconds, not the full minute, just to make sure I have good impression. Now I'm just gonna use a scrap piece of paper to catch my embossing powder. And this is Detail Clear embossing powder. There are different brands that you can find. Just tap off the excess. This goes back into my jar. And I have my heat gun here with me. So for heat embossing, I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to let it warm up first. Then the way I do it, I would hold my heat gun almost upright and stay in one area until my powder melts and I see it turns shiny, and then I move on slowly onto the different area. You don't want to stay in one area for too long because there is a danger of overheating it, and then your embossing powder goes flat. So I'm just kind of leaning it one way or another, trying to see if everything is embossed. You will be able to see if there are any powder that stayed on it, so maybe add a little bit more right here onto her wing. But again, be careful not to overheat or it will turn just flat and dull. So this looks good. I'm going to let it cool off. Don't touch it until it cools off because you can smudge it. So this is going to be set aside, and then I'll fuzzy cut her out when we're ready to put her onto the card. Now we are ready to start assembling. We have all of our elements ready. I'm going to start with the center of the card first. I have my card base. I'll post all of the dimensions onto the video description, so you'll just need to scroll down and click click for more, I guess, or if you are on the mobile device, there's a little mark on the right side under the video. If you click on that, it will expand and you'll be able to see the details. So I have quite a few layers here. I have white cardstock, I have gray cardstock, and I have smaller layer, gray, and I have a smaller layer of the white cardstock. Actually, there is one more quick thing that I'm going to do before we start assembling. I like using my scoreboard. This is Scorpal, and to create a little embossed line on my inside layers. Since I am right-handed, it's easier for me to put my paper to the right side of my board, so then I'm not leaning over my other hand to do this. And I'm using 1/8 mark. And this just adds a little pretty detail. So now we have everything ready. I'm going to go ahead and attach my layers. Onto the gray. And then onto the larger white. And then inside of the card. Like so. Then the next thing, we're going to use our oval, the sentiment that we stamped, for the inside. And the doily, and this is one of our newer dies. It's called Mandala Doily, and I really love the design. It's not too frilly, but it's still a doily, and it also has elements of mandala, so really nice design that can be used for many different occasions. For this card, we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to use half on the inside of the card and another half on the front of the card. I'm going to grab my detail glue and add a little bit onto the elements. You don't have to fill the whole thing in, just on the thicker. I'm just adding it to the thicker lines of the design. I'm going to glue it to the right side. And then I'm going to add my sentiment oval to the side of it. Now we're ready to start working on the front of the card. I'm going to put my card aside, and I'm going to work on the panel first, and then we're going to add it to the card. So again, I have my white, gray, and white, and these are the same, exactly the same size as what we have on the inside. And once again, I'm going to add all of the dimensions, all of the layers dimensions in the video description. to the gray. A little bit off here. I'm gonna add a little bit more adhesive since I took this off. Okay, let me try lining this up again. Okay, got it. And now onto the larger white. Now we're going to add our stamped layers. So the long one goes here and the shorter one on this side. And I'm not going to worry about this part that didn't stamp because it's going to be covered with our angel. So I'm going to make sure that the part that didn't get stamped on is towards the middle of the card. So I'm going to line this up here. Isn't it gorgeous? And then add my other side to the left side. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to glue my other half doily. Again with my detail glue here. All of these products are available in our online store right now, so I'll make sure to link in the video description if you need to shop for anything that I'm using today. So I'm gonna put it about 1/2 inch from this side of the panel, and then I'm going to grab my tag with the oval cut out, and I'm going to put it about 1/2 inch from the other side. About right here. Now our oval that we stamped and die cut, the smaller oval, says with Heartfelt. I'm going to use foam tape and put it in the middle of my opening in the oval. So I'm going to add a few pieces to the back of it. Remove the backing. I sometimes find it hard with my nails to remove it, so I use the poking tool to prime the backing paper of the foam tape. Just a little hint that some of you might find helpful. So this goes into the center right here, and then I have my 2 branches, and these are from the same die. It comes as a set of 2, and one of them is a little longer, one of them is a little shorter. So I'm going to use the longer one on the right side and then the shorter one on the left side. And the way I'm going to arrange them, there is an opening right here, the hole on the tag, to make a tag. But for this card, I didn't want to use it as a tag. I wanted to use this as a frame kind of element. So when I'm gluing my branch here, I'm going to align the side of it, the last leaf on the very end. I'm going to align it so it covers this little opening, and then going to curve it to the top of the tag like this. And then with my smaller one, I'm going to align it to the other side, and I'm not going to worry how much space is in between them. I'm just going to kind of fake it to see that it has the illusion that they're almost the same size. When you look at the card, the completed card, you can't even tell that there are different sizes there. Now I have the word sympathy already die cut, and it comes, the die comes with two elements. It comes as a word itself and then the backing piece, so you can mix and match, and you can make it tone on tone, looks very pretty, or you can use contrasting colors. For this card, it was a little bit too stark white for me, so what I did, I die cut the same backing piece from vellum. So I'm going to put the vellum on, and then it kind of mutes it down a little bit, makes it softer. So the way I'm going to glue it onto the vellum, because we don't want any of the glue to show, I'm going to use my detail glue and put it onto my word first. Just a few, well, more than a few, but a few dots on each letter. Try not to overdo it. I think having tweezers might be helpful in this case to hold it. So now I have this, and I'm going to glue it onto the piece of vellum first. Just take your time and line it up. And now that I have it here, this glue dries clear, so if there's a little bit of the white showing in this point, it's gonna dry and it's not gonna show. So that's a good thing. So now I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'm going to put the glue on the back of the vellum, but only when I can see, on those parts where I can see my word, the darker cardstock, to ensure that the glue is not showing through the vellum. And now it's going to go onto my white die cut piece right here, so I can line up the vellum directly onto it. Very pretty. Sympathy cards are never easy to make, but unfortunately we do need them. So this is, I think, a gorgeous card to show somebody that you're thinking of them. So now I'm ready for my angel, and where is it? Here it is. So I'm going to fuzzy cut. The way I'm going to do it, I'm going to cut off the excess paper first, and I'm using my color bee scissors with the black with the Teflon blades, and they're really good for the paper. I'm going to leave a little bit of the white around the image. I don't want to cut into the embossing powder, but if you're brave, you can go as close as you would like. And I am, as you can see, I am turning paper, not the scissors, so my scissors are staying straight, and I'm turning the paper to go along the image. And some people are faster. I'm not that fast, but it doesn't take that long at all. And this image doesn't have too many swirly or intricate details around it, so it's very easy to cut it out. Here she is. Okay, so now I'm going to put my angel on first because the word sympathy is overlaps it, and I'm going to use the foam tape again to put her on. And I like using foam tape in the roll, so this way I can kind of cut pieces, longer pieces or shorter pieces as needed. Or I can cut the really skinny pieces if I need them to. So I'm going to add some to her wings. Again with my poking tool to remove the back end from here. This was originally card designed for one of our trunk show with make and takes event. So this is kind of just to let you know that this is type of cards we do at our events. And this is kind of make and takes that we do at the trunk shows. So if you ever get a chance, if we are local to your area at any time, we would love to see you. So my angel here, and now I'm going to see how the sympathy word is going to go. And it's going to be a little bit on the angel here, but also some part of it is going to be on the card, and I need to add a little bit foam tape. So I'm just going to see where it goes first and see where I need to add my foam tape. So it, on the bottom S and Y, and this Y and this Y right here. So I'm going to cut little pieces. And I can always go back and kind of look if I need more. I can add a little here. So I like layers to be displayed evenly. I can add a little piece right there as well. Okay, I think this is enough. And then I'm going to add some glue to the other parts that are going to be on other elements, like on the oval and a little bit on the angel. I should have removed the back end first. Now I'm trying not to stick my fingers into the glue there. I think I managed. Pretty. I really like combining the die cuts with the stamped words. Gives really nice effect. Now I have some flowers I need to add. I have them kind of spread out on my table. I'm using the daisies die, and it comes as 3 dies like this in one set, and then I'm going to use the smaller flower dies to add to the centers. So find it easiest to add the glue in the center of the larger flower, and then I can set my smaller flower in the middle. Layering adds such a pretty effect, and I love layers, either in die cuts or layers of the cards. It just makes a difference to me. So I have my 3 flowers here, and I'm going to start with my larger one. Add it here in the center. Gonna tuck it behind the oval there. Then I'm going to add my smaller flower closer to the angel on this side, and then the medium size on the other side. Now this panel is ready. I'm going to use, I could just glue the whole panel onto the front of my card, but I liked it being lifted off the card with the foam also, to give a little more dimension to my card. So I'm going to cut long pieces here to fit the whole panel. I always add a lot to make sure that the panel, it's a pretty big size, as you can see, so I want to make sure that it's displayed evenly, and then I'll add more in the center. As you can imagine, I go through a lot of foam tape. Oops, sorry. It's pretty sticky, which is a good thing because it will hold and not fall off my card. Last one here, and then it goes onto my card. Make sure that card opens the right way. You don't want to put it on the back panel or upside down, so I always double check myself. And then I'm going to kind of stand over it, make sure it's straight, and here it goes. So the only thing left I would need to do is to add pearls into the centers of the flowers, and my card is ready. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you like what we do, if you like our products, if you like our tutorials, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just click on subscribe right there, and you'll be notified every time when we add a new video, either tutorial or overview of some products of sorts. If you are ready to shop, just click on the description for the links, or you can go directly on to lalalandcrafts.com. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.